There you go, dude. Eric, how's it going?
What's up? Good to
Oh,
talk to you.
yeah, man. Good to talk to you, dude. I love the book. I got
Oh,
the book.
thanks. Oh, cool.
Yeah, book's awesome, man. I dug it.
You read the
I
whole
learned.
thing?
I did. I did. I read the
Ah,
whole thing, man. I couldn't put it down.
really?
Yeah.
Ah, happy to hear that.
Yeah, dude. It was like I was learning stuff, and plus there was movie. I feel like there was like you got like the information stuff, but then you got like the autobiographical stuff, and you got plenty of movie references.
Yeah, I tried to put as much of that in as I could. Keep it
Um,
interesting. So it's not
so it
just
was,
so it's not just some academic thing, you know what I mean?
yeah, so you got like the information stuff, which was super cool, and I totally dug it. But plus, you got like movie references throughout, which always made me happy. Like every time, like you like referenced Highlander Endgame,
I did.
and I was like, "Oh, dude, right on, man!" Because nobody talks about Highlander Endgame unless it's something negative. So I was
Oh
very
yeah, I mean
happy.
I think that was the first time I ever saw Donnie Yen,
Oh yeah,
which
and
was a
then
trip because I was in a movie theater and it was just like he just kind of explodes on the screen. I think it was 2000.
yeah. Nah, it was great, and then the animal stuff. I think the animal stuff was probably the stuff I liked the most.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And then like the kind of like the pictures of the antlers. You can I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you can always kind of tell what an animal's martial art move set is going to be based on based on its hooves or claws or its antlers. I kind of like looking at antlers now just to kind of imagine like how they move their heads around.
Yeah, man, I really dug it, man. And then like you were talking Onyx, you know, which
That,
which I thought was great. And I messaged you and I was talking about Evan Seinfeld and I was like, wait, did I give that any context? Because Evan Seinfeld, the Biohazard, did the slam,
yeah,
the mix, and then they also did like the Judgment Night song.
got it. I wasn't sure what the connection was there. They
Yeah, I
did a
don't think
slam
I like.
remix? Okay. I didn't
Yeah, I
know
don't think
that.
I even said it. I think I just said it, and I was like, wait, did I even say anything about that? That makes no sense. But yeah, no, I love the book. The book was great, man. It was cool. I really dug it.
Right on. Well, thanks for reading it. It was something it's something I wanted to do for a while. Ever since, well, really ever since we started our company and when we got God of War Ragnarok, I wanted to kind of put that down on paper and kind of describe the kind of like give a different angle on what action design looks like, coming from, the mouth of a stuntman. And also, I did my research on violence and kind of have a different take on it. So I hope people will, be able to take something away from it. At least it's a new opinion about violence. It's not really like an anti-violence book or a pro-violence book. It's just kind of like as an action designer, a choreographer, action designer is like a very kind of like, boutique way of saying I choreograph fights, right? And you know, in our role, like your job is to sort of understand both sides of the fight. Like you have the protagonist and you have the villain. And if you think violence is bad, then how are you going to give any kind of life to that action scene? You'll just sort of see it as it'll be very difficult for you to empathize with a villain, to choreograph a villain's side of things. The villain will just kind of do stupid things. And I think that's actually what you see a lot of the time in movies. People make that mistake where they take an angle of not wanting to understand the villain and understand why people are violent and how it works. And it kind of makes for a very, I don't know, bland cinema.
Well, dude, if it's definitely something that you're not is bland. I mean, Contour, man, the the fight scenes in that, man, like I remember watching that for like the first time, and like you got the scene where like the cars, it's like in between the cars and stuff. It's like right before you leave from ye old San Francisco, and I'm like, oh, dude, there's no way anything could top this. And then it gets to the warehouse scene, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like what? Like, this is the greatest thing ever, and it just goes on and on and on, and it's just fantastic, man.
When I wrote that script, thank you. When I wrote that script, it was like the first thing I wrote was a warehouse fight. That was my act 3 warehouse fight, and it was just this kind of, you know, 30 blank pages. Uh, because I was thinking Dragons Forever, right? I was really kind of looking for a Dragons Forever style end fight, or anything that Sama would have done back then in the 80s, where you have an ensemble and it kind of goes between all the different fights. And then the rest of the script was kind of like justifying the main character as a con man tour guide. I wrote that script in 2 weeks, and then we shot it.
Oh man, well, I think it's great, man. Like, oh man, if I could remember the line, it's like, I always wanted a big brother. We could watch PG-13 movies and drink Bulba together, or something like that. Oh man, it's great. I love it.
I don't think I wrote any of those gags in the script. I think the script was pretty gag free. It was just sort of like the structure, and so the way that we approached it, which is how I really like approaching comedy, is we get there, we have a canvas, it's kind of empty, and we just come up with the gag. Like all of Reedy's lines, he came up with, the Typha, the Twok character, he came up with all that stuff. We came up with it's a check on the spot. Everything was kind of just we very much approached it like improv. Because I think that too much planning with comedy makes it really unfunny. Like it just feels like and of course the thing about comedy is, there's the improvisational side of it, which is very kind of stream of consciousness and reading the room for a comedian, right? Or making somebody laugh. You kind of got to read them in the moment. And you might find that a lot of the stuff that you came into the conversation pre-scripted with, you just have to throw out. Um, and that might be the case with a room or a camera or whatever it might be. And so a lot of the gags on the script might be thrown out. But then at the same time, you have to engineer the gag. So that means that you actually do need a certain amount of planning. You need a certain amount of infrastructure to carry that gag from beginning to end. One of the gags that like again, like one of the only things that survived all the different edits of the Death Grip script, which is a movie I did in 2011, was this scene in a bathroom. You can watch it on YouTube. It's on my channel, where we're fighting over a coin that's gotten thrown into a toilet. And there's this automatic flusher that's like way too sensitive. And it's going to flush this coin down, which is just, it's the MacGuffin of the whole movie. And that scene was in the script from early on. And in order to construct that gag, it was kind of like, okay, well, I kind of know the beginning of it, and we'll just play it. And then once we have it all shot, like then you have to kind of engineer the gag and the, a sound design and edit. It was just so much engineering for a gag to make it work. And I took a long time to edit that scene. And of course it takes funny people like Johnny Young Bosch, who's in the scene. Like he got it. He totally got it. And because like when we're looking at the sensor, we don't want to move, but if we're turned away, it's like we can do whatever we want as long as the sensor doesn't see us, and we're fighting while we're turned away. And it's kind of difficult. The difficulty with comedy, maybe that's kind of the difficulty with comedy in mainstream Hollywood right now, is that maybe they make it too difficult to engineer a good gag. I'm not sure what's happening. I'm not laughing a whole lot when when I watch movies nowadays. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm old fashioned. I laugh a lot more on YouTube where it's stream of consciousness type of stuff. So
I mean, dude, well, like one of the funniest movies I've seen recently is probably Love Hurts.
I haven't seen that.
But you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know about
It-
the action movie, right?
yeah, dude, that was pretty funny. I mean, that was
Was it
probably
good?
like, yeah, it was pretty
Maybe
good.
I'll
I
give it a
loved it.
watch.
I loved it, but I mean, the critics are pretty harsh on it,
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
like, this is like one of the. I mean, this is like one of the best movie I've seen like in forever, man. I loved it, but I mean, I don't know. Critics, eh? I mean, I thought
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
good.
Critics are hard on me, so I take what they say with a grain of salt.
Well, I love your stuff, so maybe if you love your stuff, man, maybe you'll
Yeah,
love it.
maybe.
You know.
Yeah.
But dude, I mean, the book, man, definitely a lot of Jackie Chan talk. I love Jackie Chan. What are some of your favorite Jackie Chan movies?
Anything he did in between. Um, I like Drunken Master too, but it's kind of a Yumo Ping movie, right? He's the director. I like that movie, but once Jackie was directing with Dragon Lord, for example, and Project A, anything from Dragon Lord until what? Rumble in the Bronx, Mr. Nice Guy's pretty good too. Who am I? Yeah, I mean, gorgeous. There's like 20, a good 20 years. Even Rush Hour, one and two. I even enjoyed three. Um, as like Americana as they are, I still enjoy them just because it's like there's something that's like very innocent about him in those movies, and I appreciate that. But I have I have a soft spot for that stuff that he did in the 80s, from Dragon Lord until I guess it would be like Rumble, that era, even though it's 96, but because I have so many reasons. If I had to pick one, it's hard. I always kind of fall on Dragon Lord as my favorite. I don't know why. I know that's not his best movie. I know that, but I think it's my favorite because it's about a guy who can't fight. That's kind of like me. He kind of makes everybody he makes his dad think he can fight, and and what I love about, Jackie's kind of filmmaking style, it's very Japanese. It's not a very Hong Kong style of filmmaking. He pulls the camera back. It's always on a tripod. When he guts a guy, he doesn't go in for the close up like Sammo would, or Corey Yun, or Meng Hoi, or Yuen Ping. All those guys would go in for a close up, right? Or Donnie would do a little bit more montagey stuff. Now Jackie Chan would he'd do the gut and he would just let the performer perform it, and that's a very Japanese thing to do. And I find that's the same with Bruce. Maybe he was very inspired by Bruce or by Japanese. I don't know. I think it's probably a combination. Um, but what I that's kind of what I like about Jackie is he not only trusts, well, you have to have really good performers to do that. And we did that with Rope-a-Dope, Rope-a-Dope 2 in particular. But like in Rope-a-Dope 1 and 2, we we did a lot of shots like that where we just sort of like in Rope-a-Dope 2, there's a montage and we just kind of let everything play in a single, and we choreographed for the frames, very much like Bruce did with Enter the Dragon when he goes into the base into the prison under in the dungeon. And it kind of demands something different out of a performer because you're always on and you have to be like 150% while you're on. You have to know exactly where you're at. Your timing has to be so much better than if you're cutting around. And so you not only do you have to have really good performers, but you're also trusting the audience to get what you're saying. And one of the masters at this was Jacques Tati. If you've ever seen his films, Mr. Ulo's Holiday and Traffic and Playtime is probably his best. You watch Playtime, and there'd be 1,000 people on screen, but he knows exactly where you're looking, and like you won't miss the gag. And that's pretty amazing that he can do that. And so it just takes somebody who knows the frame really well and knows where the audience's eye is going. And and Jackie just seemed to know that stuff intuitively. I don't know how he knew that, but
Yeah, dude. I mean, Jackie Chan's awesome, man. I mean, he just has like, he's funny, man. I love it, man. He's great. City Hunter.
yeah, City Hunter's fun. Not my favorite for sure, but
I mean, but dude, man, I just die laughing at that, man. That movie's so good. Uh, yeah, man. Oh, dude. Oh, and then I gotta talk Mortal Kombat.
okay.
You know, because I got my Sub Zero costume on, and I wore that because
Oh, okay. That's what
yeah,
the okay. Gotcha.
yeah, Dude, Mortal Kombat Legacy, man, Striker.
Ah, it feels like it was so long ago. What do you want to hear about?
Oh yeah, but
I got stories, I guess.
yeah, tell me about playing Striker, man.
So that came out of the blue. The coordinator for it, the stunt coordinator for it, Larnell, and a few other guys in that circle recommended me to play a role. And and they called me up and they said, yeah, I can't remember that whole process. That stuff's boring. Doesn't matter. So I show up to the rehearsal, and we're planning an action scene, which is the finale. It's the only action scene that I have. And I kind of pop up at the beginning of the series and at the end, season two. And so when I get into the gym, I meet Mark Dacascos, who's playing Kung Lao. And our fight is first it's Stryker versus Liu Kang, who's turned evil. And then and that was a third of the fight, maybe a quarter of the fight. The rest of the fight was Stryker and Kung Lao versus Liu Kang. It was a 2-on-1. And we had this really intricate fight. So I was fighting alongside Mark Dacascos against Brian T, who's doubled by Kim Do. And man, we had a really cool fight that we were gonna do. And then come time to shoot, there was no time on that shoot. I mean, it was a pretty like fast shoot. We were shooting up at the Hollywood sign, and I think we were only doing like 2 days for the entire, oh my gosh, that might have been the entire episode shot in 2 days, just like 10 minutes. And we got through Liu Kang versus Stryker, and I got beat down, and the director was like, hey, we're running out of time, so we're gonna cut the entire Kung Lao part of the fight. And Kung Lao doesn't fight. Spoiler alert. And it was devastating for me because I wanted to, selfishly, I wanted to fight alongside Mark Dacascos, but he didn't really have much action in that series anyway. Um, so somewhere there's a previs out there in the ether of me and Mark Dacascos doing this previs. I hope it turns up someday.
Oh man, Mark, man, was he? How was he, man? Was he pretty cool?
He was the coolest guy I've ever met.
Oh
Him,
man.
him and Casper uh were really cool. Like so I have this with Mark. I was going through something with a girl at the time, and um I just got really like ticked off after a phone call. And I just stood there. We were at the beach. I stood there and I was just looking out at the ocean, just kind of ticked off. And Mark's from Hawaii. He comes over, he's like, hey man, what's going on? He's just checking on me. And I was like, ah, girl stuff. Whatever. And he said, it's okay, man. Keep putting it out there. It'll come right back in. And he walked away. He's just had this like really kind of cool attitude. And I think that's why he just constantly works. And he was uh, I think I don't know his age exactly. Anyway, I'm 42. I think he was older than me at the time when we were shooting that. And he could do a butterfly twist still. And I remember in the previs, I think Lauren Ellis said, "Can you B twist?" And he said, "I don't know." And I'm kind of like, "Really? He's gonna do this?" And he just went up and kicked up the butterfly, pulled it, did his B twist. So he's kind of he's pretty amazing.
Oh man, Mark, because he was in one of my favorite movies as a kid, Double Dragon.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah, I
That's a
love
great
that
movie.
movie. Yeah, it's great, man. I loved it as a
The
kid.
movie's a ton of fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he was in one of my favorite movies as a kid, Double Dragon. I love that movie, man.
Yeah, the other dude was Casper Van Dien, who's from Starship Troopers, and I was always a big fan of him, and he's playing Johnny Cage, and so I had a scene where I'm acting with him, and yeah, I remember like this is probably the biggest acting thing I'd ever done at that point, and and we're doing our lines, and I was just like, man, I confided in him. I was just like, dude, I really feel out of place here. Like, I don't know, I was kind of about to lose it felt like a panic attack was coming on or something. And he was just like, "Are you feeling out of it right now?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He says, "Are you feeling kind of like you don't belong here?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He's like, "That's your character right now. Play that." And that worked. That worked,
Yeah.
you know?
I guess that is kind of Striker, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Like,
worked perfectly. I was just like, "Whoa, okay." Uh, Good wisdom from that guy. I have one more story about him. So there's a scene during that dialogue, I'm fixing up his arm, and Liu Kang throws a fireball, and um, the fireball hits me. I fall down. And what they did was they had this. You're supposed to make my back was supposed to be smoking, like I was hit with a fireball, right? And so they had this separate wardrobe that had been all burned up, and they put this stuff on it. I don't know what it was. It looked like I don't know. Anyway, when you rub it, it makes smoke and heats up, and I'm like, okay. And they put the jacket on me, and they rubbed this like stuff on there, and they're like, okay, action. And I fall down, and I'm just supposed to lay there for a while, and and then it's supposed to start smoking or something. And uh and I think there's a dialogue happening at the same time, and Casper looks at me. He's like, "Hey, he's on fire." It had caught on fire. I got photos of it too. And it started burning me. And I was like, get this thing off. And the thing had caught on fire. They pulled it off.
oh,
Anyway, Casper saved me.
oh,
Yeah. Cool guy.
were you like a big Mortal Kombat fan or?
Dude, let me tell you. So I used to go to the gold mine in Redding, California. That was our arcade. I think Mortal Kombat came out in 92, 91, 92. I remember when that game came out, and I'd spend every Friday at the gold mine. And I probably dumped $20 into that game when it came out. And for Christmas, I asked my mom, I was like, can you ask the entire family instead of giving me multiple gifts, just give me one Mortal Kombat arcade machine? The answer was no. Loved that game though.
Oh, who was your favorite character? Who'd you play as?
When I wasn't that good at one and two. Usually do Scorpion or Raiden, but then when three came out, I could do pretty well with Smoke. I was really good with Smoke in three.
Right on. Um, and also in your book, you were talking about doing it sounds like a lot of the motion capture
Yeah.
for Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. I did some Mortal Kombat 11. They brought me in and I probably did 8 characters, I think. And, here's the reality of motion capture is that when you come in to do a character for a game, and this is gameplay motion capture, when you're doing that character's probably already been done by like 5 different people. And so, like even Kratos in God of War was done by multiple people before I showed up. And and so, when I say that I motion captured for who did I do? I think I did Johnny, yeah, 7 others. I can't remember. I did the really fun one was Collector because he has 4 arms. Does he have 6 arms? I can't remember. So I would do 2 arms for the main arms, for the main combat arms, and then Carlos, who was the coordinator at the time at NetherRealm, and he was like a assistant directing. He would do the top arms. And so when I would move, I would go like this, and he would kind of like move the arms around like that. And so I did like a bunch of characters for that, and then I did a bunch of cinematics too. And that was at their stage in Chicago. Did that for like over a year, I think. It was really fun.
oh man, so tell me about Johnny Cage doing like the motion capture cinematics for Johnny Cage because he's like my favorite. So
Yeah, I don't think I did much cinematics for Johnny. So with the gameplay is a little bit different. So I did Aaron Burr, Johnny Cage. I remember those two. So doing the gameplay for Cage is a little bit easier because you just kind of you do the character and you do the move and it cuts. And it's just really quick. But you do that all day. It's actually much more tiring than doing cinematics. But when we do cinematics, it would be kind of like a lottery. Like it's like, okay, you play Johnny this time. Okay, now you play Johnny. Okay, now we got a scene with Scorpion. Eric, you want to do Scorpion? I can't really do this and that. Okay, then you do that. Eric, you do some kind of random, enemy. So When you're seeing Johnny in the cinematics, it could be anybody, at least like the action part. Uh, the thing about Johnny is that like that's a hard character because he's very kind of loose, but he's also very physically gifted, right? Originally, it was played by Daniel Pesina, Carlos's brother, and he could do the splits, and he's like this very kind of impressive, like Van Damme level fighter. So I was just trying to match that when I was doing gameplay, and I don't have the splits, but they can kind of like fix that in post, I guess. Uh,
Oh man. Well, yeah, no, I mean that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, no, I mean Mortal Kombat. I mean that's pretty rad. So when you do like the motion capture, is it just you, or do they have like everybody else, or
for
how do you?
gameplay, it's usually just one person, unless it's a throw or a fatality, and then usually it would be Carlos dressing up as the victim, as they called it. And then for cinematics, there would be between 4 and 6 of us, and some of us all mixing it up at the same time. But for gameplay, it's usually just one person.
All right, yeah, no, that's crazy because I like when I was reading that, I was like, oh man, like kind of like realizing the people in the game, like the game, like the motion capture stuff. I mean, that's kind of like one person where for some reason I thought it was like all different people, and I don't know. I guess I just had like a different picture in mind, like the people that voice the characters, or for some, playing the doing the motion capture and
Right.
stuff. And now like
Yeah.
I'm starting to think like, oh man, maybe like Arnold didn't do the motion capture stuff for Mortal Kombat.
I
I
have
don't
no
even think he
idea.
voiced it.
I would be very surprised if he did.
Yeah.
I would
I
be
don't
very
even,
surprised.
I don't think he even voiced his own character.
I
I
don't think
think
so either. Yeah, I think there's a voice double. I think you just pay him to use his likeness, and that's that. There are plenty of
oh,
impersonators out there. Uh, Yeah, you basically you have your sometimes they'll scan somebody, so you'll have your scan body. You might have a different face scan, so they'll scan a face. Then you have your voice actor, who might just come in and like talk into a microphone, and that's all they do. Sometimes they'll do a facial capture on them while they're talking into a microphone. Sometimes they will act out the cinematic with the facial capture with the microphone, so they'll do the whole gamut. That's how they do it with God of War. But other times, like when in God of War, we would sometimes just like walk through the scene and pantomime what had been pre-recorded already with dialogue. So it's just like you can have up to 5 people doing one character.
oh man, yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I just remember like reading when I was reading that book, and I'm like just getting like an insight into the process, and I'm like, oh man, like just kind of realizing it's not what I thought it was, I guess. But that's
Nah, it's
so
very
cool,
different.
man.
It's very different. Yeah, but that just gives you, in my opinion, that gives you a ton of freedom because then you get the best voice actor, you get the best looking face scan. And yeah, you're making a character, and this character is not, it's an avatar of like 5 people. Kratos is the same way. He's at least two now, me and Chris Judge. Uh, but then like you have to think about the fact too that you have literally hundreds of people touching that character in some way, right? Like somebody's fixing the muscles and somebody's fixing the character rig so that when the arm goes up, the armpit looks right. Somebody's fixing the beard. There's a beard animator for Kratos, right? Somebody's doing the effects. Somebody's fixing the animation over here, and then somebody's fixing the fingers over there, and somebody's fixing the face. Somebody's working on the tongue. You have hundreds of people working on this one character. It's kind of like a constantly going like makeup and wardrobe that's surrounding this character at all times. So what you see is like when you see that final product, it's like in Mortal Kombat, there's a lot of people working on that thing. Hundreds.
Um, yeah. One thing I always thought it was cool about Johnny Cage is in one of the games, uh, person that did his voice was Jeff Pilson of the band Dokken,
That's
the
cool.
the, the bass player. He only did it once. They replaced him, but I always thought that was cool because I like Dokken. So
I wonder why. That there's an interesting when I worked at NetherRealm, I don't think this is like insider information or anything, but NetherRealm's got this interesting kind of punk culture inside there, and they love music. They love metal. They love kind of skate culture. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, somebody had that idea where they're like, hey, here's a cool band. This guy's got a great voice. I heard him in an interview or whatever. Let's bring him in, try it out. I wouldn't be surprised. They're kind of like that there.
I think maybe because they did like the animated movies, and in the
Mm.
animated movies they got the dude from Community
Oh,
to
okay.
voice them. So I think they kind of just replaced him with that. And then I
Yeah.
think in one of them they had like Jean-Claude Van Damme did
Wow.
some
He did the
voice
voice? Oh.
for one of them. I think yeah, man. So and also in your book you mentioned doing stunts for A Good Day to Die Hard.
Yeah, for a fight that never got shot.
Oh man. Did you
Yeah.
see Bruce? Did you was Bruce there or?
It was entirely just choreography. All I
Oh.
did was we designed the action, um, and I designed it knowing that Bruce is left-handed, so everything was right-handed, and we, get have him get cut on the arm early on to kind of justify only fighting with the left hand. And I did that with a guy named Alvin Singh, and he and I before that. So this is a knife fight that we came up with, and the reason we got called is because in Death Grip we did a knife fight that kind of it was a little bit famous, I think, within the stunt circles. And because you can watch it yourself in Death Grip, but we really kind of like went the opposite direction of like your standard um, choreographed knife fight where we tried to make it look unchoreographed, but it's like a constant moving fight scene. So that got some attention. Chad Stahelski from 87 called me up, said, Eric, you want to come out and work on a knife fight? So we did, showed up, our first draft, got the okay, left after a week, went to watch the movie, and the fight's coming up because it's a rooftop scene. The rooftop is there. I was like, okay, I'm ready to watch my fight, and then they blow up the building instead. So the fight never even got shot. Who knows what
Oh.
happened? This happens all the time.
Oh man. Well, out of like all the movies that you did, like Contour and Death Grip and like all the other ones, what one's your favorite?
I think my favorite movie is Rope It Up too.
Raw, Rope It Up to that. That's pretty good. Yeah, I like Contour, but I mean they're all pretty. I mean they're all good. I mean Contour is just, like I don't know, man. A lot of Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, I went and worked on something recently with a guy in Montreal, and he had seen Contour, and he said, "Is that your anti-film school film?" Because I just got, in fact, I was making that movie as I was finishing film school, and I had a very few negative experiences in film school. And this isn't like to blame my particular school. Just film schools tend to not value movies like that. And we just wanted to make, kick-ass action scenes. That's what I wanted to do. And to me, it's poetry with your body. And so yeah, he put his finger on it. And I looked at him and I was like, yeah, I guess it was. It was my anti-film school film. Uh and when we re-released it recently in 4K online. And after watching it with the crew and we did a Q&A, uh there's like an energy in that movie that is kind of palpable that it really kind of is just like a middle finger the whole time. And I miss that. I I I feel like I have that still, but it's really hard to pull, 20 people together who are all willing to give the middle finger. It's really hard to do that at my age. I'm 42. And but uh I do want to make a sequel. I'm planning on one. Uh and whether or not it's going to be a big middle finger, I don't know. Maybe it'll be higher. Maybe it'll be like more artsy than that. I don't know, but I appreciate that, all the other performers in that movie too. We were all very eager to just like give a middle finger to the film industry and like make this thing. We did that movie for 5 grand and nobody's permission, nothing. We just did it. And we're like, nobody's gonna tell us we can't make a feature. Oops, nobody's gonna tell us we can't make a feature film, and that's what we did. And it's out there, and you can watch it. And to me, it's like a skate video. Because I was inspired by skate videos growing up. I wasn't much of a skater, but I loved that culture that just said, screw it, let's just go make our own thing. Let's go make a video. We'll take whatever tech that we can and get this thing out there, show how good we are, and if they don't like it, screw them.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was great. I mean, I love it, man. I love that movie so much, dude. It's so good. Oh
Thanks.
man. Um. So I. Uh, I don't know. I'm just thinking it's so funny, man. That movie, man. It's so good. What was it? The Colombian sugar? The Colombian sugar scene. I mean, come on.
That was real sugar, not real Colombian sugar. It was just real sugar. And we, Ed took a few gulps of that for sure. And it hit him pretty hard, like 20 minutes later. Hit him really hard. He had to kind of sit out for a little bit after that. Uh, yeah, complete insanity.
What was your favorite fight scene in that movie? Is it the warehouse scene?
Uh, I think my favorite fight is Ed's, the
Uh,
with the chain whip. Um, that's the fight that always gets applause. Every time that fight gets applause. And I think it's just because that, his character is just this lovable character. Ed's almost my age, but he plays it like he's 12 somehow he does. He's just very youthful looking. And I think that fight works because it's just insanity. That fight is insanity because it's like there's like random dudes showing up doing like animal styles. And I remember like at the beginning of the fight, I don't even I did mantis against him with like a mask on, like whatever. We would just do stuff. And then in that kind of like high, and it was very in like that fight's a very kind of stream of consciousness fight where like a weapon will show up and now everybody's got weapons and then a new weapon shows up and the chain, we did plan that stuff. Ed, I think, was learning chain whip so that he could use that chain at the end. And I remember he showed up one day. He's like, guys, I'm learning chain whip. Or maybe that's why we added the chain. I don't know, because he was in Wushu at the time. And he was recovering from torn ACL, and so he was working on weapons a lot. So yeah, maybe it was him showing up with a chain whip where we thought like, oh, let's put a chain in this fight. And the chain that he chose is like not a Wushu issued chain whip. This is like not an official chain whip. He showed up with this dog chain, like a leash, which is easily like twice as heavy and has way more joints on it. It's like 100 joints on this thing, whereas a normal chain whip's got like 9 joints. I think it's 9 is the usual one. And so he starts whipping it around and he just tags himself in the back of the head like immediately. He starts bleeding in the back of his head. It's kind of like the scene from Indiana Jones, right? Like first time you use the bullwhip, you cut yourself. So you learn chain whip, and that you know that fight's all the better because that dude is committed. He really was, man. And in terms of just like Ed's just one of those animals who I met him at film school, not in film class. I was doing a martial art class at film school, and he was in there, and he was very dedicated, and he was from Guam, and he had made indie action films in Guam. And I met him at the end of the year, like the whole year I was going through martial art class, and I was looking for more stunt people at the time. This is '03, and I was like trying to meet more film people at film school and not being successful, which is weird. Nobody there was like into making films. I don't know how that's possible. Couldn't meet any people wanting to make films at film school. I remember that I was in a class one time. This is 2002, 2003. I remember the teacher literally asking, "So how many of you have made films before?" And maybe five of 200 people raised our hands. Five of us. Nobody else had made films. They went there to learn how to make films. So anyway, didn't meet anybody at film school interested in film except Ed. So met Ed finally at the end of the year, and I was just like, dude, I just want to say I make action films and love to like talk to you about that. He's like, oh, I've done that too. And he brought over his DVD that he made in Guam, and he had done his own like tournament movie in Guam. So anyway, he already knew like the ins and outs of making action movies. So he knew the entire process. He was also very good at lighting. I found out. And so like there's just like he's just a specimen. So he made sense. It made sense to put him as the star of the star of Contour.
Yeah, I mean, the hat thing, man. The hat thing I love. It just reminded me of what was it? Rumble in the Bronx, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. I think we were thinking of that when we did that gag.
It just reminds me like
Yeah.
the little hat, little hat kid from Rumble in the Bronx, man.
Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha. Wasn't there?
Yeah.
I think there was a Jackie movie though involving a hat, and it was a gag involving a hat. I can't remember which movie it was. But we do that gag with the he puts his hat on, he flicks it off, he like takes his hat off, puts it on the guy's face, and then hit like spins him around and then hits it off of him and then he catches it. All this stuff we just come up with on the spot. We never prevised anything.
Oh man, I feel like I know it too because I feel like I can picture it, man.
Yeah.
Because I just got I think it
I know
was
what it was. I know what
uh
it was. It was Winners and Sinners. Samo at the end, he's got the staff, and there's a dude with a derby, and he pops the derby off and hits him on the head. That's what it was.
because I think it was Shout Factory just did the Jackie Chan like collection where it's like two volumes. It's all his like 70s to 80s movies, and
Wow.
then it's all his like 80s movies to like 92 or something.
Nice.
So I was like going through and watching all those, man. Like what was it? Wheels on Meals,
Yeah.
and a lot of them, a lot of Jackie Chan movies, man.
Could
Um,
talk all day about that stuff, man.
and another thing I loved about your book, man, I don't know if it was like maybe like the intent, but like I don't know. I was like kind of like, yeah, I get that because it was something. There was like you were talking about doing the motion capture for the God of War game, and you got
Yes.
like the dude, and he's like, you like telling him something, and he's telling you something like else, and you're not really into it, man. I was like, yeah, I get that because like sometimes like I like somebody's telling me something, and I may not like it, but sometimes I just kind of relax and kind of be like I don't want to say like not be like stubborn, I guess. I mean, I don't know if that was kind of the intent, but I was like kind of like when I'm doing like a martial arts class or something and the dude's like telling me something and I'm
Right.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, if what you're talking about is learning to do motion capture on God of War, that was so hard because I had just come from doing movies like Rope-a-Dope 2, which is super fast paced and it's very look, those are intense fight scenes, right? But there is like a level of cooperation when you're doing a film like a Hong Kong style action film. It's a heavy amount of cooperation. Like if you don't hit your marks, then all the timing is shot. You have to redo the take. And so it's like you're doing these riffs. Like if you were to think of it musically, you're doing this long riff and everybody's got to be exactly on point. And if anyone is off, the entire thing's you have to reset and do the entire thing over again. And that's what we were trying to perfect. We're trying to perfect our band in Rope It Up too, and like get that beat perfectly, right? And that just involves like everybody kind of like moving in the same the sort of same rhythm. And once you do that, you feel like you've kind of mastered the world. But then I find myself working on God of War, and none of that stuff works. Like none of my movement would work for the Kratos character because it was like it was too punchy. And when I say that, I mean, the Hong Kong style movement is very like you anticipate, hit, and go back. That's sort of like the movement, or you're anticipating, hit, and then you go to the next thing and the next thing, and then there's an anticipation hit, and maybe there's like a double block, and and then there's a back and up and out and in and look and and everything is like they're like Chinese characters. And it's beautiful. It's calligraphy. That's what I call it. It's like calligraphy to me. And when you do it right, and when the two performers are perfectly synced up and the shapes are nice and the rhythm is good and the sound is right, then it's just pure calligraphy. And in my view, like nothing beats good calligraphy. And I challenge anybody to this day to like still pull that stuff off. It's not easy. And so that kind of movement requires like very precise footwork, very precise timing, right? And then that kind of stuff is like all out the window with Kratos because Kratos is supposed to be this kind of wrecking ball that just goes forward. He only goes forward, and that's like not the Hong Kong style. Like in Hong Kong style, you're supposed to be able to go this way, this way, this way, this way, down, up. It's like six axis, but Kratos is always forward, and everything is very like character driven. All the movements have this big anticipation. Sometimes a double anticipation. Like you'll step in like this and then another one and then you'll come in, you'll do a big hitbox and the recovery is kind of like this big like active recovery out back to idle, which is the character stance that you're in when you're not playing, right? When you're not touching the thumbstick. And I had to kind of like rewire my whole brain. Or I could have said, I want to do it my way. I could have said that. And here's what would have happened. They wouldn't have called me back. That's just the reality. Now, you could go take a martial art class and you might be able to get away with that stuff because the teacher might see something in you, right? Like if you're trying to if the teacher said, like for example, like when I took Taekwondo, my teacher was very big on static flexibility. And my static flexibility sucks, but my power is really good. And I'm fast. And so he was able to work with me. He's like, oh, okay, forget about the static stretching. Let's do dynamic stretching and let's just rejigger your kicks so that it works. And so you can get away with kind of being a punk. But when it comes to motion capture, this character, by the way, this is like the fourth God of War game. And I have to move like Kratos has always moved. I can't just come up with a new movement style. He's not going to move. He can't move like Eric Jacobus. He has to move like Kratos. I have to move like Kratos. That was my job. And that required learning how to not just learning how to move differently, but even like thinking about movement differently. And that's how I came up with movement language, where I could like I started breaking down the movement into pieces so that I could more easily change my performance however the animators needed. And yeah, the rest is history, and that's all in the book.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I thought it was such a great book, just so cool. Um, what was your favorite part or your favorite like chapter of your book? Because each chapter is just kind of like um, it's either like a different like autobiography of it's
Yeah, that.
biographical
Yeah.
autobiography
Yeah.
yeah part or sort of like like I said like different like information and stuff. What was kind of like your favorite?
Uh, hmm. I think that the it's weird because when you write a book, you want to kind of I wrote that book 3 times. They're right there on my shelf. That yellow one right there is the first draft. That and that is a theory of everything. It's not good. Okay, and then the next one is that huge thick one. There are 2 copies of it. And that was the second draft, which is 400 pages. It was a 400-page book. And uh, it's like an encyclopedia of histories of violence, the history of theories of violence. And there's a part of my brain that really wants to explain that to people so that they have the context, so that when they read a book written by a stuntman, part of me feels like a little bit like, oh, I'm a stuntman. They're not going to take me seriously. So I front loaded like 80 pages of a history of theories on violence. Everybody's from Aristotle all the way down up until, Ted Kaczynski. Everybody's got a theory. Literally everybody's got a theory on violence. And I read them all. It's that shelf right there is one of them, and then the one right there is another shelf of theories on violence. And I love doing that. And I'll tell you what, man, it's not worth putting in the book. So the stuff that I find very valuable is all this like background. It's all background to the book. Um, I think that the moments when I enjoyed writing the most was retelling the stories. There were some, and like reflecting on, Impossible Omar and running that, hip hop tape ring in my Catholic school. And these things all sort of like relate in some way to the theories. And in the background, there's an encyclopedia that I treasure, and I don't ever need to write that down. Um, so that's kind of how I approach the final draft, which is like, okay, let's take out all the data and just put in the stories. And there's a little bit of theory in there, which I think is important. Uh, and that stuff is like, it's sort of my contribution to the sciences, I guess you could say, where I have a novel theory about violence that not many people talk like this about violence. Most people who write about violence are very academic. They've never done it. They've never really, if they've experienced violence, it's probably traumatic. For me, I designed the stuff, and so I think the stories was where all that really was synthesized.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I liked it so much, and that's why I could get into it is because it is kind of like split up by those autobiography. Ah, my goodness,
Autobiographical, right? Is that what you mean?
yeah, parts and stuff. So it kind of just brings it down to
Cool.
more grounded
Yeah,
area because I'm not really much of an intellectual type, but I could definitely understand the information, and I
cool.
definitely loved it, man. I thought it was
Oh, I'm
great.
glad. That's good to hear. I mean, I I was I was sort of schooled to uh like this is like the history of academia, right? Is like let's write it so that only we understand it. It's kind of like Latin, right? It's like writing a science book in Latin. Well, nobody speaks Latin. Well, yeah, that's the point. So we're gonna be the only ones that know it. But like anybody who speaks, the dialect of whatever the local language is, they're not going to be able to understand that book. And the point was not so that the average person could understand it. The point was that, they could kind of like pat themselves on the back and have their kind of like internal knowledge and wisdom, and they could like hold that over people. And I'm not a fan of that. Uh, I'm big on translating and making things, and it's not that it makes it stupid. It's just it's a different kind of writing. That's all it is. I mean, even academic writing today is like it's like even worse than it used to be. Academic writing from the late 19th century, early 20th century was like fairly readable. Um, Nowadays it's like not readable. It's very hard to even like Hong Kong cinema books. There are a few up there. There are a few Hong Kong cinema books that are written in academic jargon that it takes me forever to get through this crap, and it's not enjoyable. Even though like they have the best data, that's the problem. Like they have the treasure trove of data. They're translating interviews that were done only in Chinese, and you're getting all this data. And so the average person has to like weed through this crap to get to like the nugget. And even then, like the whole point of their writing a lot of the time is to show some kind of like they have some other agenda. It has nothing to do with the reason that we watch movies, which is for entertainment and to read, to see a story. And like, so, even I'll watch a lot of Hong Kong films just to kind of experience another world. and that's interesting. And that's enough. That's enough. I don't need their analysis, but I do want their data. So I guess one of the missions I've kind of taken on is like, okay, I'll weed through that crap because I have the time to do it in the mornings, and I'll go through that, and then I can translate it and put it into a workable form so that, you know, yeah, average people, it's not that they're stupid, it's that like nobody wants to read this academic stuff, even though the data is fantastic. So that's what I hope to contribute.
All right, man. And then one last question, but before I do that, I got the book here,
Right
and
on.
when I put if these fish could talk, a stuntman's unflinching take on violence. And when I put the episode up, I'll probably put like an Amazon link. I mean, this book was like $12. I mean, for $12, I mean, you know, it's pretty good.
Thanks,
It's
man.
really good. I give it two thumbs up.
Right on.
Um,
Thanks.
but I was gonna ask, since you're a big martial arts movie fan, have you ever seen a movie called Kung Fu Rascals?
No. Is it the
Oh
one with
man,
kids?
no, no, oh no! It came out in the early '90s. Les Claypool of Primus is in it.
Oh,
It's
Kung
Steve.
Fu Rascals?
Yeah, Steve Wang. He did the Guyver.
Oh,
The Guyver,
of
the second
course.
one.
I
He
interviewed him on
directed
my
it.
podcast.
Yeah, dude. Oh no way! You never seen Kung Fu Rascals?
I haven't seen Kung Fu Rascals. I'm looking it up right now.
They just put it on Blu-ray like last year, and like before that, like you could only watch it on VHS,
Oh my
and
gosh.
it was like super hard to find. Dude, you would love it, man. It's so
Whoa.
good.
Oh, this is his first movie. He talked about this.
Yeah, dude, it is one of the best movies I've ever seen. It is amazing.
Awesome.
Les Claypool plays like the sheriff in it.
Oh, funny, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Wong, man. Okay, I'll check that out. Thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah, Steve, dude, he's so cool. I like messaging him, and I was just like, dude, I really love that movie, and he was like, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Just super cool.
Yeah, he's cool. He makes monsters now.
Yeah, well, he did like the special effects on Return to Frogtown, and I think that's kind of how he got the job or something like that.
Cool.
And I think a
Yeah,
lot of the costumes were like left over from that movie, so.
nice.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for doing this. It's been really awesome. It's been such an honor. I'm such a huge fan.
Thanks,
And I
Jeff.
love the book, man. Dude, like it's so crazy how this like happened, right? Cuz I was like, who do I want to interview? And it was you. So like I looked you up. You just so happened to create an Instagram account
No
and you
way.
just so happened to have a new book.
Whoa.
So and I was like, dude, like this is it all works out, man.
Wow,
That's
that's
so
perfect.
crazy. Yeah.
Right on.
All right, man. Well, thank you
All right,
so
Jeff.
much. All
Thanks.
right.
See you. Bye.
Bye.